she eat a lot over the next couple of days because we're fasting on one day. So let's get it in.
Okay, Boker Tov, we're on Daf Yud Tes Amud Aleph on the bottom, fourth wide line. Amar Rav Nachman. So the Gemara is based on what I spoke about before, that when the master of the Amar Avriya does Yiyud, so it seems to be, there might be a machlokes if.
Well, we still don't know even really what Yiyud means.
Yiyud means that he's marrying her. The master is marrying her. And we had this question about the translation. Nowadays, the word Yiyud means to be designated. It's not designating her, it's actually taking her. It's the actual marriage. So why is it called Yiyud? I'm not sure. The Gemara did say, that's to point out that a long time ago, getting the Masechta to talk about different terms of how the terms meaning the terminology, which words a person uses when he marries a regular woman. Over there says, Edesli was a question. Over there, is it a good lashon of, there was a long list of about 10 questions. And one of them was Yiyud, that you do find it by Avriya. Does it apply to a regular woman also? Is it enough? So the Gemara leaves it over there was a question. Over here, it is going to be a good term. And it also we'll see in Amud Beis soon that he also said it Mekudeshesli when he says to Avriya. So this is the marriage that the master is taking the maidservant, and the Torah gives that option, and also that the son should have Yiyud. Yesterday's Gemara just talked about if it could be a katan. The Gemara came out now. The son has to be a gadol. So the Gemara spoke about where's the kesef kedushin. With what is he mekadosh her? Is it the kedushin is the money that father had accepted when he sold her, or is it with the work that's left? That Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda says that was we had yesterday that that has to have left work that he's now stopping. He's going to marry her now, and she doesn't have to work anymore. Not as a maidservant, as a wife, but he's so that is the Kiddushin. And the Gemara spoke about that's what the Gemara ended off. That Rav Nachman Yitzchak also says Kiddushin, the Kiddushin. He says there was a machlokas before. Rav Nachman Yitzchak says even according to the shita that says you have to have a kedei shavar pruta left over, he doesn't argue inherently where the Kiddushin is. He also holds that the father's money is the Kiddushin, but it's gzeras hakosa behevda. So that was a machlokas. If Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda you see different than the Tanna Kama. The Gemara is going to continue that there is such a machlokas. Not like Rav Nachman Yitzchak, I think. The Gemara is going to continue now that according to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, he's giving her money now. By waiving the rest of the work that she has to do, he's giving her money now. It's seemingly not like Rav Nachman Yitzchak just said. So the Gemara starts. Amar Rav Nachman. Amar Adam Labito Ketana Tziva Kabli Kedushayich. That a man could tell his young daughter, a minor daughter, that you accept your Kiddushin. It means the father is the one who has jurisdiction over his daughter to marry her, and he's the one who could accept the kesef of the Kiddushin. And if the daughter is going to make her own marriage, it's nothing. But here it seems that the father could tell the daughter, who's a minor, he should give you the ring. You accept the money that the chassan wants to give. I'm not going to take it, you take it. And that's a chiddush because she's a ketana, and she doesn't have a yad, and he's the one who has the jurisdiction, and she's not a shliach, and shliach. So how does it work? So he says, I'll prove it to you from Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. He doesn't explain how it works. He just says that it works. I'll prove to you that it works. According to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, that the Gemara says before that it's not enough the money that the father had received when he sold her as a maidservant. It has to be the money that's left over. Not like if Nachman Yitzchak was matcha that the Kiddushin, kesef, the original money was not given for Kiddushin. And what's the Kiddushin? Whatever work is left over that the master is now waiving, that the girl doesn't have to work anymore. And she's a ketana. Lavam Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda was for Shana with Kiddushin. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda holds that the original money that the father received is not for Kiddushin. So what's the Kiddushin? The reason why it's Kiddushin is because the shavar pruta of work that's left over that she didn't yet work. Yeah, that's what he's mekadosh with. And she's a ketana. The father's not here. The father's not here anymore. The father's not here anymore. The father's not here. He's not the one who's getting it. It's the girl who is waived the work that she has to do. That's like he's giving money to the daughter. So you see that it's as if the father told the daughter to accept your Kiddushin. When the father sold her, that's as if he's telling her that the husband, the master may marry you. He's giving his okay. And who's the money going to? The money's going to the girl. So that's it. From here you can learn out that just like a father, when he gives his daughter for a sale, so he's giving rishus to her, to the master to marry her, and at the end, Where does the money come from? According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's the money that the master is going to give to the girl. So it's similar to the case that father tells his daughter, you may accept Kiddushin from so-and-so, even though the girl is the one who's getting it. That's good. It doesn't have to be that the father is getting it. And the Gemara doesn't, that's the end of the Gemara. It doesn't explain. He's not waving, he's giving it over. He
usually would be getting.
Yes, but not only that, who gets the money, but she's the one who's getting it. The father's not here. The father goes someplace else, whatever, he's not here. And the chassan comes and gives the money to the girl and they're married. And the girl's not making her own Kiddushin, it's the father, but she's getting it in her hand. There's problems over here that there's no Kenyan for no yad. The Ketana has no Ketana in no yad. So that's a kasha that we're showing them ask. What's the mechanics? How does it work? And the Gemara doesn't explain how it works. The word says, I prove to you that it works. And then the Rishonim ask, how could it work? What are the mechanics? Well, the Maisi, you see that it works. New Gemara, also similar in the same vein. 3 lines up. Amar of Nachman, also the same author of this statement. Also, I'll bring a proof from the Rabbi Yehuda. I can prove that to you from Rabbi Yehuda, the same Rabbi Yehuda we're talking about, that he does yield with the leftover money that was not yet worked. So from there you could derive that if somebody is Mekadesh a woman with a loan that she owes him, and there's a mashkan. So she's mukudesha. So just a little background. The Gemara said a long time ago that Mekadesh b'milva ain't a mukudeshes. If a woman owes a man money, and he says, the money that you owe me, that should be the Kiddushin, so it's no good. And we said the reason is because that's her money. It's not his money. She owes the money, but that money is not hers. And it's not his, I'm sorry. So therefore, if he says keep it, he didn't give her anything. But because we said it is good because she is holding on to his thing, and if he says keep it, that's a good Kiddushin. There was a Gemara spoke about if she has to say the favor, she has to accept, she has to say yes. But as far as the kesef, it is called his money that she's holding on to, and he says keep it. If he doesn't say, I'm marrying you with the money that you owe me, but he says, I'm marrying you with the value of how much my mechila is worth. You owe me $100, whatever it is. You owe me whatever you owe me. And how much is it worth to you that it should be waived? It's worth, the person has a chov and the chov gets waived. So it's worth money. It's worth money to get that waiver. If you can convince somebody if you could pay somebody to convince the malva to be mochel, it's worth money. So if you mekadesh with that hana, so that hanas milva that's called, so then that is a good Kiddushin because you're giving her something. The money that is worth to you to get a pardon on the loan, that's worth money. So the Gemara spoke about how much money it's worth to extend the loan, to get an extension of the loan. Surely to get a mechila on the loan is also. So that is a good Kiddushin. And Taisha says that this is a problem that our Gemara is saying a smaller Chiddush. Here it says, "A mekadesh b'milva sheyesh alam mashkon b'kudeshes." It sounds like the Gemara means to say that if there's a mashkon, that there's a milva, there's a loan, and the malva got a mashkon for it, got a collateral for it, and he's mekadesh her with the milva that has a mashkon. He doesn't give it a mashkon. He waives the loan. And Taisha says the point is he's not saying that the money that you owe me. He's saying that wouldn't be a good Kiddushin, like the Gemara said, but it's saying that the benefit that the hana that I am being woeful the loan is a good Kiddushin because it's worth money. And then the Gemara throws in about the mashkin over here. Taisha says that doesn't seem to fit. Well, let's see the 2 lines and then we'll go back. I'll prove it from Rabbi Yehuda. This is the same Rabbi Yehuda that the original money that the father got for selling his daughter is not the Kiddushin. The one who bought her gave money to the father. That's not Kiddushin. That was regular sale money. So where's the Kiddushin money of the year? It means the work that she has to do still. That's called the halva. High halva. That the money that she owes him, that she has to work another day. She owes him work, and now he's saying forget about it. So for the benefit that I'm marrying you, and now you don't have to work anymore, that's worth money, and that's the Kiddushin. So you see that even though it's considered halva, the work that she has to do is considered a loan. She owes it to him. But he gufa mashkon, she's a mashkon. That's how Gemara's looking at it. The fact that he has her, she's in his house. He has the collateral that she has to do the work. And you see, the chi, that's on his base now, and you see that's a good Kiddushin. The chi meshayir bo shava pruta. How do you get this down? Have a Kiddushin. Just like when the master tells the girl that you don't have to work anymore, and therefore that benefit that you don't have to work anymore is worth money on a Mekadesh you. and you're the mashkin, so you see that it's a good Kiddushin. Taisus is bothered, they forget about the mashkin. The halacha is true even if it wouldn't be a mashkin. We had before, anos milva is enough to be mekadesh. So the Gemara is b'char pshita. You don't need a raya for this, and you don't have to have a mashkin. Taisus explains the Gemara, a little dochak, but Taisus says that it's true that you don't need a mashkin. The Gemara means to say, even though there's a mashkin. Even though there's a mashkin, so you might think that the anos milva is not good. That the fact that he's mochel is not good. Here you see that even though there's a mashkin, let's see the Taisus over here. I can't, I'm not sure why I'm not getting, okay, there I went. Try to get the page on over here. No, wrong one. Beginning of the Taisus. What does that have to do with the Gemara? The halach is if you say Makadosh with the benefit of the wave of the pardon of the milva, it's good, so it's not with the mashkin. You might have thought that is worse. You might think that till she doesn't get the mashkin back, she's not miyushav, that's really pardoned. He's less the mashkin. So you might think that's worse. The fact that she's still in his home here, she's the mashkin over here. So that's a chiddush that even though he says you don't have to work anymore, but she's still in his house. The application of Rabbi Yisrael is not so simple, but the regular case would make sense that if someone says you don't have to pay me back, I'm over you, but he still has the mashkin. You took a watch for a milva, you have the watch, and you say you owe me money, and now come and say you don't have to pay me back anymore. But you're still holding on to the mashkin, so you might think that it's worse because the lova is not sure that you're really going to give back the mashkin. So Taisus wants to say that Al Gemara is coming to say a chiddush even though there's a mashkin, not if there's a mashkin, even if there's no mashkin, but even that would. The chiddush is the other way. Even though there is a mashkin, you didn't get the mashkin back. If you're mekadesh ba'anos milva, is good enough. That's what. That's what
the camera, please. Camera, please.
Thank you. I didn't realize. How do I do this? Here it is. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and to get back on screen a little bit more. Why is this? This is always getting in the way. Maybe put it away. Okay. So we have two Gemaras that we learned out from Rabbi Yehuda. He's the one who says, according to the Pashup Shad, he's the one who says that the Kiddushin is going to be the work that the master waves in the future, not the past thing that the father gave him. The Gemara learned out two things just now. One was that the girl who's a Ketana could accept the Kiddushin because that's what's happening. She's the one who's accepting the Kiddushin by the money that she gets, that she doesn't have to work anymore. And the second thing is that, as Taisus explains, if someone's Mekadesh Ba'anos Milva, Ba'anos Mechilas Milva, it's a good Kiddushin, even though there's a mashkin. Tanrabana. Now goes the simple, we would have put not in this case, but in the regular case, is the woman owes a man money, and he has a collateral for it. And he tells her that I'm Mekadesh you with the Hana, that I'm Mochel the loan. So it's a good Kiddushin. He didn't give it back to Mashkin yet. He's going to give back the Mashkin. He didn't give it back yet. So it's a good Kiddushin because the Mechila Samilva is worth money. It's worth money to be Mochel, to pardon the loan. So that's worth money. Not that he's Mekadesh with the money that she owes him. That wouldn't be good because it's her money. But he's Mekadesh with the benefit, how much it's worth to get a pardon on the loan.
That's not worried about the mashkin.
And even though there's a mashkin she didn't get back, she might think that it's not really Mochel because he still has the mashkin. Tamashmalan, that she is good. It is a good Kiddushin. Now this Gemara would be the first on our list. If you talk about Yud, this would have been first before all the other Gemaras talk about the details. This goes to Pashup Shad. What is Yud? Tanra Rabbanan. Kate said Mitzvah's Yud. How does the master do Yud if he wants to? He says, the master says to the maidservant in front of two Eidim, Harayat Mekudeshesli. If you use a regular term of Mekudeshesli or Harayat Muresesli. And I guess Harayat Meyuedesli, right? That's a Pashup Shad. Harayat Meyuedesli. We had Rashi said that before. That's the way that he says it. And then there was a machlokus if it means with the money, because of with the money that your father had received when I bought you, or with the work that you would have had to work and now mochel it, that the Brisa doesn't go into. But now it does. I'm sorry, it does go into it. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is the Brisa. I feel b'sof sheish. I feel something that Tanakama holds. There doesn't have to be any value left. There doesn't have to be a Shabbat fruit of worth left. Right before the end of the 6 years, and in another a minute is going to be a shkia, and there's not a Shabbat Pruta left of work that she has to do for him, it's also good enough. Because Tanakam holds that the Kiddushin is the kesef that the father got when he bought her, when he sold her. So that's what Tanakam holds. Soon we're going to have the famous Rabbi Yehuda that's going to say soon that that's not. The Brisa continues, we're not one minute Gishas, we're not one minute Shifchos, we're not one that he married her, so now she's a wife, she's not a Shifcha anymore. Till now she was a maidservant, and now that he married her, now she's a regular wife, and he has all the obligations of a husband. This was the famous Rabbi Yehuda quoted in Amman Aleph, that it's not good enough, the fact that the father got the money when he sold her. There has to be a Shabbat Pruta left of work. And the Gemara, just before I studied, doesn't mean because it's the kesef, the money that the father got was not for Kiddushin. It's only going to be the money now that he's giving her by waiving her work, or as exercise of like Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said. So this was how the Gemara explained before already. The price continues. So we have machlokas here. If there has to be a Shabbat Pruta worth of work left before he's Mekadosh. Mashal. Then the Brisa continues some kind of a mashal. So usually a mashal is a given, like the mashal is pashat, and he's coming to learn this nimshal. But over here, Rashi says it's the opposite. From here, we're going to learn to something else. This is comparable to the following, and we're going to learn now something from the halacha we just learned to the following law. It's the opposite of a regular mashal. It means you can say that our case is a mashal, and this is going to be the nimshal. The next case, la'omer le'isha hiskatchi li me'achshav. If someone said to a woman, he gave her money, and he told her, be mukadeshes to me, me'achshav, in 30 days. What does it mean when somebody says me'achshav after 30 days? That it's chal now, with a tanai, means that when it comes 30 days, then retroactively you were married now. That's how we had once upon a time. We have it here again. And what happens if somebody came within the 30 days and gave her also a ring? Reuven gave her a ring and said, after 10 days, Shimon came and gave her a ring. I want to make Kaddish right now. So here it says, she's married to the first one, because when 30 days comes, so then she's married retroactively from day one.
But it happened yet, whereas the second was not.
But not, yeah, he gave Kiddushin, but when 30 days comes, so then he retroactively goes before. So the number one, the first one was first.
But in 30 days time, she can, the claim can be that the first one is illicit marriage.
No, because she's married to him first.
Didn't happen.
It did happen.
30 days doesn't happen.
After 30 days happens, so then retroactively is from day one.
But the second one is coming now.
But the first one was married first. Retroactively, the first one is married first, because he said me'achshav. On day one, he said, "You're married to me now. Call it on the condition 30 days passes by," and he gave her the ring now. And then day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Someone gave her Kiddushin. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 29, 30. So then when 29, day 30 comes, she's married to the first one from day one. So the one that gave her money after 10 days, it's too late. She's married to the first one already. That's what the Brisa learns out from one of these two Tanoim. The mashal means not that the first case is a mashal. The first case maybe is a mashal. And this is what we're going to learn out. We're going to learn out this halacha. And now the Gemara is going to analyze what are we learning, from where are we learning that? Mashal Aman. From who? We had two shittas. We had Machokis Tanakam says that the kesef was the kesef originally that the father gave. And Rabbi Yehuda was the one who said that it's the money that he's going to waive from now on. So from who does the Brisa mean to learn out? According to which shita does the Brisa mean to learn out that you can say this halacha, that if you said me'achshav lachash loshim yom, it starts retroactively. If the mashal will be according to Rabbi Yehuda shita, you see this halacha, you don't see it. Rabbi Yehuda has nothing to do with retroactively. Rabbi Yehuda said that you have to have giving her something right now. When he comes to the girl and says to the maidservant and says that I'm marrying you with the mechila of the work from now on, so nothing goes retroactive. Everything is now. Right. It has nothing to do with this case. So the Gemara says you're right. It's not going according to Rabbi Yehuda. That what the Brisa means to say is according to Rabbanan, that it's the money of the Kiddushin, money of the sale, the purchase money that the father had received when he first sold her. That becomes the Kiddushin money, so that comes to be me'achshav. That's what the Gemara understands. That how does it work when the father took it just for sale money? So then there's no Kiddushin. How does it work? What's the mechanics? It must be that the father means to say as if it's me'achshav, and if you're going to decide to do yiyud, so then this money is ready Kiddushin. If you don't do yiyud, so this is ready purchase money. I'm just selling my daughter. But if you decide ever to do yiyud, so then I'm taking this as Kiddushin money. So you see, that's the case of Mayachshav. So you see it works, or else it wouldn't be able to work later on. They couldn't put a, how do you call it, a time released. How does it doesn't become time released? It has to be that it was Mayachshav. So too, we can learn from here that if a man says, you're married to me Mayachshav in 30 days, it works. It works retroactively from the first day. And the Gemara, and that's what the Gemara says, Mashal Rabbanan, that this according to Rabbanan, that say that the original money becomes the Kesef Kedushin. So you see that that's how the mechanics work. That it goes retroactively from the beginning. And the Gemara says that's very nice, but it's too simple. Shita, that's of course how it works. You can see from the Rabbanan that if the original money becomes the Kesef Kedushin, that means as if he said that I'm accepting from you the money for Kiddushin if you ever decide to do Yiyud. So you see that's how it works. Why is it a Kiddush? It goes without saying. You might think that the case of the Yiyud, the father, when he received the money, he didn't say Me'achshav. They didn't say Me'achshav. So you might learn out a mistake. You might learn out a bigger Kiddush than it's true. The truth is, it's only when he says Me'achshav. If a man says, I'm marrying you Me'achshav in 30 days, so then when the 30 days comes, it goes retroactively Me'achshav. But if he doesn't say Me'achshav, as the Gemara is going to talk about soon, so then attack doesn't take place until the 30 days. But he wouldn't have realized that. He would have thought that the case of the father selling his daughter, he didn't say the word Me'achshav. He just said, I'm selling my daughter. And then later on, when the man decides to do Yid, it works with that original money. And it didn't happen retroactively because it didn't say Me'achshav. So you might learn out of too much of a Chiddush. The Chiddush is not that it's true. The Chiddush is that it's not more. It's not true if you do a bigger Chiddush. It's only true if you say Me'achshav in 30 days, so then the taka does go retroactively. When the 30 days comes, it goes retroactively. But if you didn't say Me'achshav, then it doesn't go retroactively. And don't make a mistake and learn out from Yud that it goes retroactive even if you didn't say Me'achshav. That was what the first brisa meant. Tanya Idach, we're on the list. The last one on the line is Idach. Tanya Idach, another brisa, which is going to be the opposite case. What if somebody did not say Me'achshav? Here it goes. Somebody sold his daughter, so she's now by the master that he sold her to, and he didn't do Yiyud yet. The master didn't do Yiyud, and then the father accepted Kiddushin to somebody else. He says, "I have a daughter right now. She's not home. She's a slave. She's a maidservant by Plony, but you can marry her. Somebody else could marry her, a stranger, somebody else. She's working as a maidservant, and now he marries her off to somebody else.
She still have to continue working.
That's right.
He's only saying Kudeshes.
But she still has to continue working. Could be.
That's what we said yesterday. We spoke about it.
I don't think we spoke about it.
Something like that.
It's here, so that's okay. No, Sichek, right? Yeah, we have the lesson of Sichek, yes.
So over here it says
It doesn't say he goes to Cheres. So there's a shibud that she has to work, but as far as being married, so then she's married, and the master did not marry her yet. He had the option of marrying her, but he didn't. He didn't yet. Maybe he had plans to, but before he actually carried out the yid, the father married off to somebody else.
As a father, right to take her out of a state of being a single girl, a non-married girl, into a married girl, and to continue as a slave, and take his time.
That's what Avnissan is pointing out, that even though he's marrying her, but since she's already sold, so that sale, the fact that she got married doesn't take her out from being obligated to work. L'chorah is right. I don't see differently.
What is the sikh?
Sichik means he makes fun. He mocks the master. The master might have
But
thought
he
he
doesn't
had.
have relations with her?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I do.
No, he can't do it anymore. She's already married. He had the option of marrying her, but he didn't. So he thought he has time. But the father calls him up and says that she's married. He said, I thought I was going to do Yiyud. So the master may laugh. Sichik Vadan Mukadeshes.
Is he allowed to marry before? Is he allowed to marry
What is that?
before? Is he allowed to marry before the 6 years are up?
Yes, anytime. He doesn't have to wait till he waits till the 6 years are up. So then he has to make sure he hops around before Shkia.
Okay, but he could do it before.
Maybe a shapafuta. Afterwards, once she's out, so then he cannot marry her. He has to marry her anytime during the 6 years.
Before, okay. And the
So here
fact
the
that
case was that
he can marry his son to her, You can't say the Kiddushin was really Chal because it's a choice of people.
It's going to go like a tonight. Whoever you decide to do it, like Brera kind of thing, whoever you decide at the end. So that's one who the Kedusha was for. So here it says that if the father married her off to somebody else, so that takes place, and the year is not. See, he mocks, he laughs at the master, and she's Mukadesh to the Lasheni. Divrei Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. Now, and that, but the Chachamim argue, that the master still has the option of being miyai, and it goes back to the same lumdus again. When is the Kiddushin? If the Kiddushin was the money that the father has received, then it becomes the Kiddushin money, and that's going to be like a meyachshav. So then, when the master decides to do yield, so then she's married retroactively from the sale. And then the second one, who was a second cousin, is out. He didn't marry her. If you hold like a Ves Rav Yehuda, that the case of Kiddushin is only when from Kanal Abba, from the time that the master waves to the girl, you don't have to work anymore. That's the case of Kiddushin. So then the marriage doesn't happen until he does that. So this Brisa, that's what the Brisa says over here. The point of Ves Rav Yehuda that the marriage money is only the waving of the future work that she's tied to him. So then the marriage will be Mukudeshes L'Sheni because the master didn't marry her yet. It doesn't go retroactively, but according to Chachamim, the master is the one who has the option, and the option is going to go retroactively. So if the master, after he hears the news that the father calls up and says, "I married off to somebody," so he starts laughing. The master starts laughing. He says, "No, I'm going to be married her right now." And then retroactively, I was married first, and you tell your chassan that I came first. And now the Brisa continues with this mashal over here, and now the mashal is going to be the same case as before. It's still a Brisa, and the mashal means from here we can learn out the following. Here's going to be the same case, but without as before, but no achshav. He didn't say me'achshav. Yeah, hereby I'm marrying you after 30 days. But he gave her the money, but he didn't say me'achshav. It's only going to be after 30 days. And then somebody else came before the 30 days. Somebody else came and was Mekadosh before the days was up. Who did she marry to? She's married to the second one because the first one didn't get her yet. He has to wait till the 30 days. He didn't do Mayachshav. That's the end of the Brisa. And now the Gemara is going to analyze which shita does the mashal going according to. Mashal Aman, according to is the mashal, that it's not considered Mayachshav. Ilaim l'Rabbanan, Ami Rabbanan, you see, according to Rabbanan, no, they're one of the opposite. Ami Rabbanan and Masal Yad Miyad. The Rabbanan say that he does have the option of making it work retroactively. And if after the father says, I married her to somebody, he says, no, I want to do a year, then he does a year, then it works retroactively. So it's not similar to the case of the Brisa that says that it only takes place when the 30 days arrives. The Brisa means to say, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that it does not work me'achshav. It doesn't work retroactively. It doesn't go back to the money that the father received. It goes with the money that the girl is going to get waived, that she doesn't have to work anymore. So that's not me'achshav, and therefore the Brisa learns out from there that if there's no me'achshav, so then the one who comes before the 30 days is the first chassan. And the Gemara says in that pshita, that also goes without saying, that according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not me'achshav. You might have thought that the case of the Raisa, the case of the year, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's true that he didn't say la'achar shloshim yom. I mean, he didn't say me'achshav, but he didn't say la'achar shloshim yom either. They just did a sale, and then afterwards he does a year with based on the money. But there was he didn't say anything, and you might have thought that. What would you think? That even if he would have said me'achshav, it also wouldn't work. Is that what the Gemara means? Rashi says different. That the case of Rabbi Yehuda is that he didn't say lachas shloshim yom. He didn't say that almanasha tishadi lachas man. So that's why Rabbi holds that she goes to the second one, because he didn't specify that's lachas shloshim yom. But a case where somebody did say lachas shloshim yom, even though he didn't say me'achshav, maybe it also works retroactively. So that's why we have to speak out that if he didn't say me'achshav, it works only later. It doesn't go retroactively if he didn't say me'achshav. So the Brisa, just to sum up, the Gemara said there's how many would have thought differently, but it comes out that the machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabban is similar to the case of saying me'achshav or not. And everyone knows if you said Me'achshav, it goes retroactively from the beginning. Everyone knows if you didn't say Me'achshav, then it only happens when that date arrives. And Machlokas, Rabbi Yosef, Yud, and Rabbanan is the case of Yud. Is it like Me'achshav or not? According to Rabbanan, it's the original money of the purchase, which becomes like Me'achshav, even though he didn't say so. And according to Rabbi Yosef, Yud, it's not like he said Me'achshav, because it's only the money that's going to be with when he pays her then. And then if somebody had the right in between to marry her, that marriage will take place first. So far, I think that's good. The Gemara continues with a new brisa. Tanya Idach. We learned another brisa, also a related subject about yield. It's really, I think it's like a 2 dots. It's a new subject. Tanya Idach. Somebody sold his daughter, but he made a stipulation that the master should not take her as a wife. He just was selling her only for a maidservant, and usually the Torah says is that automatically he has the option of marrying her. But this father, he wanted that the master should not. Just as a maidservant, right? He wants to do it. All right. So could that take effect? Can he make a stipulation on what the Torah says? So Yiskayim tonight. Meir says that the tonight takes effect, and it's a sale, and it's not cannot marry her. He made a stipulation that it shouldn't be without the possibility of yud, and Meir says it works. No, that even though they made such a stipulation, it doesn't take effect. The sale is a sale, and the stipulation is not a stipulation. Famous cloud that you can't make a condition against what the Torah says. The Torah says that he does have the option when you sell a daughter, the owner, the buyer has the option of doing it, then you're saying you want to do it in a different way. You can't go against the Torah. But when you go make a condition against the Torah, so whatever you did, you don't say it's not a sale. You can say, okay, so it's not good, so it's not a sale either. No, the sale is a good sale, and the tanai is not a good tanai. So the buyer, the master, does have a right to do yield.
So here, Alma, it sounds like on what the Torah wrote, but here it means against what.
Right. I think that's what, yeah.
That's the way you say it?
I think so. He's making a tanai about what the Torah says. He's making a condition about what the Torah says. The Torah says one thing, and he's making a tanai different than what the Torah doesn't say this tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Gemara is very surprised because we do know there may agrees to this condition, this halacha that masna mashkas b'Torah to know bato. Maybe we'll just highlight that famous halacha masna mashkas b'Torah to know bato. And the Bryce here says that Rameh seems to argue, but we know other places Rameh agrees that you can't make a tanai against the Torah, and that's what the Gemara asks. That's the end of the Bryce. Till here's the end of the Bryce.
Rebbe Meir.
What's that?
Rebbe Meir is part of the Bryce.
The word Uli Rav Meir?
Rebbe Meir, Tanu Kain.
That's not the Bryce anymore.
Okay.
That's a kasha now. The Gemara asks, Uli Rav Meir to know Kain. Because Rav Meir, the condition is good. That means this halacha that because of the Torah to know what you can make nice Torah. But Tanya, we learned in the Brisa. We'll see Rav Meir again coming up, and he's going to agree. A person married a woman on the condition that she has no claims against him. Doesn't have the responsibility of giving her food and clothing and marital relations. He wants to marry her. It should be a marriage, but he shouldn't be obligated with the Torah's obligations. To know butter here, the Rav Meir. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. So Meir says that the marriage is a good marriage, and the condition is not a good condition. That means they're married, and he has to give her sheiks as well. That's the halacha of to know butter. To know butter doesn't mean that the mice is butter. To know butter, the act that you did something, you made a marriage. A marriage is a marriage. It's obligating. And he says, I said no, but I said on the condition that I shouldn't have obligations. So we erase that. We erase the condition. There's no condition. So Meir's mama, she's the one who says this halacha that to know butter. So how come before he said that he can make such a condition that you shouldn't have the option of doing yield? The Gemara finishes the brisa. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says depends what kind of case it is. The Torah sometimes gives monetary law, sometimes not monetary laws. So if you do on a monetary law, then you are able to make a stipulation. Means out of these three things, sharing ksus and ona, sharing ksus is considered monetary obligations. He has to give her money, food. He has to give her clothing. That he could make it tonight that he doesn't want to obligate himself. It's as if she's saying she's mochel. But by the owner, it's not a monetary thing, so that she's not mochel. She can't be mochel. So, and even if she was mochel, she could say later on, I do want it because that he wasn't able to nullify. That's the side point. that Rabbi Yehuda holds that sometimes he could make a stipulation against the Torah if it's monetary things, but that's not our point
So
right now.
What's that
right now
one,
we
right
have
now?
a
What's
lot
that one?
of recognize.
Right, we're really a contradiction in our maybe. We can put this in parentheses. Rabbi Yehuda is not the point right now.
But in the Brisa, he's arguing for Rabbi Meir.
Right, and
Okay.
he's being more lenient, and the first brisa was the opposite. But Meir was the lenient one. Chachamim probably accused Rabbi Yehuda, so that
Okay.
was a case of Yud. So Kasha is Rav Meir. Here Rav Meir says also that you can't make a Tanai against the Torah, and the first brisa Rabbi Meir said that you could make a Tanai that you should not have the option of doing Yud because it's against the Torah. That's the Kasha. It's good. Someone want to say something? No.
Or was it
That's the end of the brisa, end of the kasha. And now the answer is we're going to answer Rabbi Meir. Amachizkiya to answer this kasha. Shani yachad amar kra la'ama. The Torah is different over here because the Torah says la'ama. V'chim korish as we told la'ama. If a person sells his daughter for a maidservant, and from this word he's going to learn out that the Torah itself gives two kinds of sales. There's a kind of a sale for a daughter with for a maidservant plus the option of marrying her, and there's another maslul, another route that a person could sell his daughter just as a maidservant. Since the pasuk says la'ama, pamim she'eino mocha ela la'ama, sometimes a person could sell his daughter only for a number. So the answer to the kasha is, if the Torah only would have given one maslul, only one way to sell a daughter, that it goes together with the option of marrying her, so then Rabbi would agree that you can't make a tanai against the Torah. But he's the first one to say that. But over here, that is a drasha to say that the Torah says there are two ways to sell a daughter. Sometimes you can sell a daughter only la'ama. So he's saying, I'm not going against the Torah. I'm choosing that maslul. I'm choosing that path that I want to make the sale, the purchase, without the option of being able to marry her. So that's why everybody holds that you could. And the Rabbanan argue, the Rabbanan say the stop shot in the pasuk lama. There's only one maslul, only one form of how the Torah makes a sale of a daughter, and it always includes the option of marrying. Therefore, you can't go against it. And if you did, so it's nothing. Your tanai's butterland, the husband, the master does have a right of marrying her. But the Gemara has to figure out what they can do with the word lama. Just to, again to see if we could find the pasuk over here. This word. If a person sells his daughter for a maid servant, so whatever it says. So the first Rosh Hashanah says Lama means he could have said says Bito. He sells his daughter. But since it says Lama, I want to tell you that sometimes it's a sale only as a maid servant without the option of marrying her, doing you. And Rabbanan argue and say no, there's no such thing, no such invention. The Torah always means the option of also doing you. So what do they do with this word? Rabbanan Hai Lama. Right, they don't hold it that.
Okay.
So Rabbanan Hai Lama Mai Avdilay. What are the Rabbanan going to do with the word Lama? The answer is, I mean, they need this word for the following. Like in the Tanya, for what we learned in the Brisa, La'ama, this word La'ama, again, with darshaning it, Malame Chamorcha Lepsulim, that he could sell her to someone who she's not allowed to marry. And therefore comes out that
sold to someone
who she's not allowed to marry, who's not allowed to marry her. So it comes out that he's only marrying her, only selling her as a sale because the man is not allowed to marry her. Rashi says, Chai Ve'Lavin, we're going to see right away, we're talking about Chai Ve'Lavin. Rashi says, for example, the mamzer and Nasin, that if they're going to take her as a maidservant, they don't have the option of marrying her because they're not allowed to. So that's what the Torah means to say. You could sell her to somebody who's not allowed to marry her. But if you're selling it to somebody that could marry her, so the Torah doesn't recognize.
This is the Rabban,
Right.
not Rabbi Meir.
Right. And the Brisa continues.
Why would Rabbi Meir think it's okay to do that? Isn't that the basis of marriage? Of selling
So here it says that he's gonna here in this case where the person is not allowed to marry her, so then he could sell her just as a maid servant. That's the essence of what's happening. He's selling it to somebody who's not allowed to marry her. He's not going to do the Avera. If he does the Avera, he did the Avera. But when he's selling her to him, so then it comes out that it's only for service, not for marriage. And you can't don't learn out from there that if it's a regular kosher man that you can make such a kind of a sale. This case where he's puzzled, that's what the Torah means to say.
That's what it means. The Amma is a
Rabbi
working.
Rabbi Meir is also just darshaning the law differently. So
Right.
He says it's okay.
What's okay?
Even if someone would be allowed to marry her, I can sell her like an Amma. only in
Right, but Meir says the drasha is going to be like you said before, that there's such a thing as lama.
There's
One is
such a thing as la'ama, and
Right.
it doesn't matter if he's fit to marry her. I
Right.
can make a stipulation.
right, and the other one say no, you can't. The person is only talking about that you may sell her to a apostle who, of course, is not going to marry her. That's the case that she's only going to be a maid servant. But if it's a kosher person, doesn't the Torah doesn't make such a kind of a sale? They didn't talk about it. And the Brisa continues, Valo Dinu. Why?
Is there
Why?
sort of a kasha on the rabbis?
It's the Brisa continuing. It's the Brisa that's continuing. This I mean, it
Isn't
is.
it logical? Where's hello then?
It's a kal v'chomer. You don't need a pasuk for it. The fact that you could
That's what I
sell
mean.
her
So isn't it sort of like
logic.
inside the brisa? Isn't it saying how come the
It's
rabbis are
asking-
saying that? Wouldn't we know that anyway?
Right, but in fact, they say the rabbis. It's true. The Gemara said that this is the rabbis, but that's not what the Brisa says. But it's asking kasha on itself. The Brisa is not so. If La'ama teaches you that he could sell her to a apostle man who's not allowed to marry her,
Okay, I see.
and the Brisa asks on itself, I know that without a pasuk. V'alo dinu, is it not a kal v'chomer? I can know that without a pasuk. The father, a regular father, not selling her. He just wants to marry off his daughter, and he married her. He accepted Kiddushin for his daughter to a mamzer. Does the Kiddushin not take effect? Of course, they're not allowed to have relations. But is the Kiddushin not take effect? Chayve Lavin, we know that Allah Chayve Lavin, the Kiddushin takes effect. They're not allowed to live together. You should give her a get, but you say, is she married? She's a married woman. If so, even the Chayve Lavin, Kiddushin is still placed. So I should be able to learn out of Kal V'chomer that if a father has the jurisdiction over his daughter to make a Kiddushin effect, even to a apostle man, can doesn't that would I be able to figure out from there that he has the jurisdiction to sell it also to apostle man? But the Gemara says
If,
no.
I'm sorry, if I can, what does it mean?
I can. The father has the right to betroth her to apostle man.
If he has the right to betroth her, then
To apostle.
certainly he could sell
Sell
it.
her, right? The Brisa says no. You're saying that whatever you could do to betroth her, so surely you could do to sell her. I'll show you that your logic is not true, because you see that it's more powerful. The power of a father to Mekadesh his daughter is more powerful than his power to sell her, because you see that he's allowed to betroth her even when she's 12 years old. But you see that he cannot sell her when she's 12 years old. So you see that the power of betrothing his daughter is stronger. So don't make a kal v'chomer. Could you learn out to there from a Kiddushin to selling her? Over there, a person cannot sell his daughter when she's a naira. So therefore, the kal v'chomer is off. If we want to, we could put this whole kal v'chomer in the kasha and the teretz, put in parentheses, just to, how do they say, halt cup, that this was a kasha and a teretz. You don't need pasuk for it. The kasha was you don't need a pasuk. The answer is the kal v'chomer is not good. So back to the pasuk. That's why you need the pasuk to teach you that he could sell her to psulim. So back to just zoom out a second. There we had a halacha machlokis. If you can make a stipulation, I'm selling this daughter without the option of marrying her, and Rav Meir said he could do such a thing. It can't be masla mashkas of the Torah. It must be because Rav Meir recognizes it's such a kind of a sale that the Torah talks about. And the Rabbanan didn't hold to such a thing. They said a person only come to tell you this brisa that he can sell her to a psulim, even though it's going to end up that he cannot marry her. That's the case the Torah means. But if it's a kosher man, so there's no such thing as such a maslul of selling her only for servitude. The brisa continues. Rabbi Lezer Omer, he has a different issue. That this lach is true, that he could sell her to a apostle, but he says you don't need the pasuk of la'ama. It's true, kal v'chomer is not a good kal v'chomer. But you don't need the pasuk. Rabbi Lezer says if the pasuk is im l'lamed, if the pasuk is coming to teach you that he could sell to psulim, we have a pasuk for that. Harei kvar nemar says a pasuk im ra'ah b'einei adoneha. If she's evil, if she's bad, and not evil, she's bad in the eyes of her master, and the pasuk means he doesn't want to marry her. But the Gemara is mentioning that it's something worse than not wanting to marry her. Sherah b'nisueha, that she's not a good marriage. Why is she not a good marriage? Because it's a apostle marriage. The marriage is not permitted. So over there it says that there's such a case. You want to learn out that there's such a case of marrying her to a apostle. The apostle says it already. You don't need another pasuk of lama. So Rabbi Lezer says, according to me, that I have a pasuk for it already, that he could marry her sell her to a apostle. Why does the pasuk say la'ama? We're going to find another drasha for the word la'ama. That he even could sell her to a chayvei krisos. This we spoke about. We said that he may not, but here it says a machlokis. Machlokis if a father could sell her his daughter to a relative who's chayv krisos. Everybody holds that he could sell it to a relative, which is to a person only chayv lavin. But could he sell it even to a chayv krisos? Like the was going to say, a father or a son that they're not allowed to marry this relative. So that's what Beleza says. Even that is also a mutter to sell. And again, there's a kal v'chomer. Follow dinu. The Bryce says that's a kal v'chomer you should be able to. In morchel psulim lem kirena lekrovim. I don't get. I guess the more means to say that you see that once you see there's such a thing as selling her without the ability to marry, so what's the difference if it's a pasal or a koro? Maybe see Rashi helps us on that.
You're saying Krovim has Krisos and Puzzle, doesn't it?
Right. The pasal like Rashi says that means a mamzer, somebody that's not a chayvi krisos. Kiddushin Krovim means relatives in a way that's going to be chayvi krisos or worse. So it's not chal. So the Gemara first says that it should be no difference. No, malamochel absulin shem rosaliyad miyad im kiven lekrovim shem rosaliyad enu miyad. He can't not a good kal v'chomer because by psulim, if he wants to marry her, he could marry her. Now, of course, he may not marry her, but he could marry her. Means he's not allowed to. But a mamzer, any kind of chayv elavan, is not allowed to marry. But if he did, the marriage takes effect. So that would not be as strong. It wouldn't be a raya to the case of selling her to relatives. That if he wants to be miyayit, he cannot. Not that he may not. In both cases, he may not. But can he? To regular chayv elavan, he can. Means he has the ability to marry her. That's going to take effect. So over there, you might say that the sale works because there is a possibility, a very possibility of marrying her. But by relative, that there's no possibility to marry her even through an avera because it doesn't take effect. So it wouldn't be a raya. So that's why you need a pasuk. We put this in parentheses also if you want to. But this was just to explain why the kal v'chomer is not a good kal v'chomer. Amar kra lo amar v'lam shemorchu l'krovim. So that's the end of the brisa, and we got a pshat for the Rabbanan. What do they do with the word la'ama? They use it for psulim, krovim. But Rav Meir learned from this pasuk that even a kosher person, he could sell her on the option, without the option of marriage. The Gemara continues, Rav Meir use up the pasuk. He says, the Amud teaches you that he has a choice of selling her without the option of marriage. So what does he learn out about psulim over here? Rav Meir, Rav Meir says that I know that he can marry a psulim from the pasuk that Rabbi Lezer brought on the bottom of the page that he said, it doesn't need a pasuk of lama. And the krovim, and as far as krovim, he holds that he cannot sell her, like the Rabbanan say. So he has the extra pasuk of lama to teach you that a person has the option, a maslul, of selling his daughter without the option of marriage. Of marriage, if it's but Rameir says that the Torah makes such a kind of a sale. There are two kinds of sales. You could sell a daughter with the option of marriage, you could sell the daughter without the option. And the Rabbanan say, no, you can't, no such pasuk. And the pasuk that says Lama, they tell you about psulim, about krovim, whatever the brisa over here holds. New brisa, which is going to be very amazing. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense as we first look at it. What does it say? A little bigger. Tani Chada is right after the blue two dots. Tani Chada, that he may sell, a person may sell his daughter to his father. He sells it, the father buys his granddaughter. But the father cannot sell his daughter to his son, which is the sister. So we understand that there's issue of relatives over here. Both of them are chayv krisos. The father cannot have relations with his granddaughter, and the brother cannot have relations with his sister. So both of them are chayv krisos. But there's a difference that he may sell his daughter to his father, he may not sell his daughter to his son. Tani idach, another brisa says, he's not allowed to sell her not to his father, not to his son. So we understand the second brisa. We don't understand the first brisa. The second brisa that says that he cannot sell her not to the father, not to the son. We understand. It makes sense. That say that chayv krisos is no sale. It has to be marriageable. And since they cannot marry, it's chayv krisos. So we understand that there's no sale. But the Brisa that says that he may sell her to his father, he may not sell her to his son. What does that mean? Come on, according to who's the Brisa going? Lo Rabbanan, lo Rabbanan. It doesn't go not according to Rabbanan, not according to Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, you cannot sell it to the son either, to the father either. According to Rabbanan, that he may sell it to Chayvik Krisos, so he can sell it to both, the father and the son. Who's this? What's this compromise here? To the father, yes, and not to the son. The Olam Rabbanan, it goes according to Rabbanan that he cannot sell it to Chayvik Krisos. But how come he could sell it to the father? No, the Rabbanan agree that if there's some possibility to do yiyud, so it is mutter. So I don't, what? It is a rise. It is a rise.
So what's the side?
So I was thinking how long it would take me to figure this out without Rashi. I don't know if I'd ever figure
We're
it
talking
out.
about the grandfather?
The grandfather.
Yeah.
The grandfather to buy his granddaughter, there is a tzad yiyud. There's a possibility of yiyud. The
He can marry his uncle,
What?
the uncle. The grandfather's son.
Uncle, right? That's the answer. That Yud has two options: either to marry her himself or to marry her to his son. So it's true that the grandfather cannot marry his granddaughter in any way, but he could take the option of marrying her to his son, who comes out to be the uncle, because the uncle was allowed to marry his brother's daughter. That's fine. It might even be
Who's marrying who? I thought we said he can't marry to his father.
he could sell her to
Sell
his
her.
father. Why? Because even though the father cannot take her as
Well,
a
he
wife,
personally can't
but
take
he
her
can
to
give
it,
it to his son. The person in live no year then. There's a year is either to himself or a year to his son. So the buyer will be able to do year to his son because his son will marry his niece, which is a very nice marriage to marry a niece. The Gemara even encourages it to marry a niece. So, but the other case, to sell it to the son, so that means he cannot have relations to his sister, and the son also cannot marry his aunt. I got it right? That the son cannot marry his aunt, the father's sister, right? So that's how the increases also. But an uncle could marry a niece. That's the total. No, you might, as far as the distance, it's the same, but it's different if it's the male, female, and the gender. A person is uncle and an uncle and a niece is mutter and even encouraged, and an aunt to a nephew is high decreases.
Not a sister's son.
Right.
For some reason, everybody talks about Mordechai and Esther, but it's not. Mordechai and Esther is cousins. It's not. I'm not sure everybody says it. Everybody says like you say that it was a niece, but it's not. It's a cousin.
Yeah, but it's the cousin.
It says Bas Dodo.
Ah, for sure.
I'm not sure. What is it over there?
And she's the daughter of his brother, isn't she?
That's in the drash, right? Not in the pshat.
That's in the Drash?
The pshat doesn't say so.
Oh, because it was Diska?
Right. You're going that this guy
yeah,
is.
saying Diska, sorry.
So isn't that a beautiful thing? I wonder how long I would have taken without Rashi to figure it out, but Dr. Fine told us. So that's the end. So we pass in that you cannot marry to Chayvi Krisos, but he doesn't machlokes if there's a tzad echad. And the price according to this little letter over here seems to say like that the father he could sell, the father could buy the grandfather could buy his granddaughter because there's an option of yield to his son.
I mean, the son can't sell it, can't marry to his son. That's what we're saying, right?
A person cannot sell his daughter to his son.
A person cannot sell his
daughter to his son, which would mean a brother sister, that you cannot do because there's no tzadiyat over there.
Why?
Because
the son cannot marry her off to his son. That's what I'm saying.
Right, that because Mary it'll be his aunt. And that's how the
that's
increases
the
also.
opposite.
Right.
Okay.
Tana Rabbanan. In Begapo Yavo. So now we're changing subjects to Kamri. We're talking about the Eved Ivri. So now we're talking about the Amavriya. Now these two dots as a major two dots. We're talking about the Eved Ivri. Tana Rabbanan, beginning of Parshas Mishpatim. In Begapo Yavo Begapo Yetzei. That's the pasuk. If now the word Gapo is like Guf.
Yeah.
If he comes with his body, he leaves with his body. So what does that mean? Begufo nichnas begufo yetzei. This is the Bryce explaining. Tanakama says he came in with his body, he leaves with his body. Rabbi Lesben Yaakov Omer, a different shot. Yechidi nichnas, yechidi yetzei. The word gapo means his body, but the the shot is, if he came in alone, he leaves alone. That's the end of the brisa. So machlok is what the pasuk is saying.
What was the machlokas?
So we don't know yet. One is,
We don't know.
yeah, that's the brisa.
One said he leaves with his body, the other said he
He
came in
leaves.
alone, he lives alone. We don't
Right.
know.
So what's happening? My begufo nichnas begufo yetze. What does the Tana Kama mean to say? If he came with his body, he leaves with his body. Amarav aloma sheni yosef beroshe yivarim keved. The Prophet says this is coming to teach you that Eved Ibri does not get released if the master damaged one of his limbs, as an Eved Kanani would. Eved Kanani, the pasuk says, "Vim shein avdo yapil" or "Ein avdo yapil." If the master
Unlike
damaged, Eved Kanani does go free if the master damaged him. In some case, Rosh Yivarim means the tips of the limbs, and the pasuk talks about shein ba'ayin, but it means now dafka means all 24. I think 25 daled Rosh
I thought
Yivarim.
it was major organs.
I think that I don't think it means that. I think it means like the edges. So the word says 10 fingers, 10 toes,
The
eyes,
Evid leaves.
nose.
The Evid
So
would
Evid
leave,
Kanani would leave. Evid Kanani leaves if the
but this
master,
one would not.
but Evid Ivri does not. How do you see that? The group, he came in with his body, he leaves with his body. So how do you see that? Now he's leaving with that. So Rashi says that if he would damage, if he wants to, if now when he's leaving, he's missing something of his body, so the master has to reimburse him. So he's leaving with his body. Not that it's his mamash body. If he got the tooth missing, so he doesn't have his tooth, but he's at least leaving with his the value of the value of his tooth. But he doesn't go free. If he would go free, so then it wouldn't be that he's going free with his body, because he's going free without all of his body. So from here, the Rabbanan, they can interpret that the pasuk means to say that an Eved does not get released because he got damaged. He's to get reimbursed like any Jew, like any kind of nezek that he did. If he damaged a Jew, you have to pay for it. Here also, the master has to pay for it, but it's not a reason that he should go free. Amalei Abai said to Rabbi, you need a pasuk for that. There's already a pasuk. Ahu milo seitzei kitzei sa'avodim. There's a similar pasuk that it says by a Amavriya, which the Gemara doesn't differentiate between Amavriya and Eved Ivri. It says that she should not leave the way Eved would leave. She doesn't get released the way Eved gets released. And the Gemara is taking that to mean that she doesn't get released if the master damaged her. So too an Eved Ivri doesn't get released if the master damaged her. So you don't need another pasuk for that. The Gemara answers, that's part of the Kash. You learned that out already from this pasuk. The more answers, Rob was answering. From there, I might have said that he gets paid for his eye. He gets the money for his eye, and also he gets released. And I think that's not the pasuk that says that.
It's paid for his eye and he leaves.
And maybe both of them. Those say that the Ever just leaves and no reimbursement. And here maybe they leave and there's reimbursement. Maybe the pasuk's not coming to say not that there's no release. The pasuk's coming to add on that there's also a payment. Kamash Malan, that he gets reimbursed, but he does not get released. So that's the Chachamim. The Chachamim say this pasuk says that if the Eved Ivri, which means if he came in with his body, he leaves with his body or the reimbursement of his body, but he doesn't leave because he's missing his body. He doesn't leave because his body is damaged. He's going to leave with the money.
He'll get paid for.
He serves the whole time and he gets paid for the reimbursement.
Yeah.
Maybe I said it wrong. Which one pasuk alone would have thought that he gets reimbursed, but the first pasuk will say reimbursed, but maybe also he leaves. So you have to have the second pasuk to say that he doesn't leave. So that's the first shita. And now the Brisa continued with another pshat. That doesn't mean body.
I thought that if he comes with his body complete, he leaves complete. But if the body is nima'et with some maka, then yes, then he leaves even before.
It doesn't say that. It says that he leaves with his body. He leaves with his body. The Gemara is not different than you. The Gemara is not that he leaves with his body, and he doesn't
Doesn't go before.
If he would leave, then he would be leaving without his body. You want to say that he get released without his tooth. So he's not getting released with his tooth. He doesn't have a tooth. So the pasuk says he leaves with his tooth. What does that mean? That he's not going to get free because of that. When his time is up, he's going to leave with the full body. What's full body mean? His tooth is missing. So he gets reimbursed for his tooth. But it's not going to be that he left, he got released because of that. That was one shot. This is all explanation of the first part of the Brisa. And that was saying body. that if he came to the body, he's with his body. This is quoting the price before. He came in alone, he leaves alone. What's that supposed to talk
That's
about?
about marriage. If he came in.
So
without the wife.
you know what the Gemara is going to say. You got it from Rashi probably. He brings down this shot. The pasuk doesn't say. The pasuk says body. All it says, that's it. You know Rashi. Ma yechidi yetze. What does it mean? He leaves by himself. The pasuk says like this: Yesh lo isho banim rabba mosa lo shevcha knanis. If the man, the Eved Ivri, came into servitude with a wife and children, they say it means or children, wife or children. So then the master has a right to give him a shevcha knanis to impregnate. That's the one thing that Eved loses. That a Jewish man is not allowed to have relations with a shevcha knanis, but Eved Ivri is allowed to. Means the master has a right that he should gain from the Eved Ivri, that he should be able to impregnate a shevcha knanis, and the child that's going to be born, the Eved is Eved Kanani, which belongs to the master. And even when the Eved Ivri finishes his term, but the kids stay with the master because they're brother, they're not Jewish. They were born from a shevcha knanis. But here it says that only if he had come in not by himself, he had come in married. He was married or he had children already. So then the master could give him a shevcha knanis to mate. But ein lo isha, when he came in by himself, ein rabba moshe lo shevcha knanis, then the master does not have a right to give him a shevcha knanis, and that means that he leaves by himself. He leaves by himself, meaning what? Without a shevcha knanis, the shevcha knanis never comes along with him. But what does Rashi explain this? Rashi doesn't explain more than we said. So those are the two pshatim. If the gapo means his body, or the gapo means himself. Eved Ivri.
And Eved Ivri, if he's married?
If he comes, Eved is a Jewish man. And then he stole whatever he did. What never happened? What never happened? I missed it. What's the problem?
Yeshlo, who's the low?
Jewish man who became
He has a wife and children.
And he became a servant. He stole, and he's now a slave for 6 years.
He can have his master can give him a shevcha knanis.
Right, and the master's going to gain from that he's going to impregnate her, and then the children are born. Avodim Kananim, and the master's going to keep them. But if he came in by himself, so then the master doesn't have a right to give him a shevcha knanis. He's going to leave without ever having relations. The work is
What's
as far I don't know.
They said an Eved Ivri never can marry a shevcha.
I didn't mean to say that a Jewish man cannot. A Jewish man cannot have a relationship with a shevcha knanis.
Oh, you said
but Eved Ivri loses one point of his status.
I see. Okay.
Tan Rabbanan. What's the svara? I don't know svara. Why does the Torah say that if he has a wife, so then the master could give him a shevcha knanis? If not, then not. I don't know. You can speculate.
So if he had a shevcha knanis and he has children, he's still not going to leave with the children or her, right?
Right. That's why I don't know the it means he leaves without ever having made it with a shevcha knanis. If he came in alone as a single man, so then he leaves without ever having had relations. The master cannot do
but if he comes in
with a wife, so then this master
with his wife.
and he doesn't. But he's not going to take her alone. The shevcha knanis, once he leaves, he's not with the shevcha knanis, and that's the masters, the kids, and the wife. But that's called that he left not the same as he came in. He came in never having had relations. He came with a wife, so now he's going to have relations with the shevcha knanis as long as he's a slave.
You answered the Chaim's question that we don't want the shevcha knanis to be a good influence. So if he has a wife guarding him.
Okay.
I thought of a different answer. Maybe Shem doesn't want a Jew. And he have relations with
Okay. Tana Rabbanan. Nimka b'mana. The Eved Ivri was sold for a price, and then he has the right to redeem himself by in the middle of the term, middle of 6 years, that he's going to pay the difference of how much is left. He got money, he got money, and he wants to redeem himself. So he pays the difference. What if the price changed? What if his value changed from the time that he was, the time of the purchase to now? The current price or the purchase price? When at the time of the purchase, it was 100, whatever, zuz, and then now the current price, he became worth 200. And now you want to calculate how much money is left, how much does he have to redeem himself with. Do you go according to the original price, according to the current price? So we go according to the purchase price, which is cheaper. Shenema mikasef miknaso, that you make the cheshbon according to the price of the purchase. Kasef miknaso. How about the opposite? He was not by the purchase price, and the current price is cheaper. Chesed means that he got worse. He got the opposite. What's the word? He devaluated. Now he's only worth 100. Once again, he gets the cheaper price. He gets the gain either way. And even if it was more expensive, now he's cheaper. So now, in order to redeem himself, he only has to go with the current price. How do you know? According to his years. One pasuk is mashma according to the purchase price. Maybe we'll highlight that. One pasuk is mikasef miknaso, and the other pasuk is kefishanav. And mikasef miknaso sounds like the purchase, and kefishanav sounds according to what it is now. Period. That's the brisa.
So what happened here?
That
If he's worth 200, no, he's worth 100 and it goes up to 200.
and now you want to calculate how much he has to pay in order to redeem himself. So you go according to the cheaper price, which was
Which
the
was
original
when he
price.
was.
But if it's opposite and the price went down, he was 200. So also you get the leniency, and he only has to calculate according to the current price. He gets the cheaper price, whichever one it is, either the purchase price or the current price. Whichever one is cheaper, that's how he evaluates his redemption fee. All this is talking about is shukkim we just brought
Lenient to me for the guy who bought it.
for the opposite. For the Evid. Evid wants to redeem himself. How much does he have to pay? The cheaper redemption price.
What cheaper? Oh, I was thinking if he was worth 200 and he's going to work for 6 years, right?
And he worked now, let's say half. Now he wants to redeem himself for the next 2 years. How much am I worth for? How much am I worth for the next 3 years that I have to pay you in order to get out?
So how do you figure it? If it's 200, you mean you divide that into the 6 years?
And then half. So let's
So
say,
half is 100.
and you have to pay 100. And we say no. My current price is only 100. So half of that. My current price for 6 years.
Oh, I see.
So I only have to pay 50. And the opposite, you go
Okay.
also.
Thank you. Okay.
This was talking about an Eved that was sold to a guy. The psukim we just brought, because I think that's so Kefisha, and these psukim we just brought is talking about a Jew who was sold to a guy.
Because we want him to free himself. We want.
You could say Svar, you could say.
Okay.
We're lenient on the Eved Ivri that it should get out for cheaper.
Yeah.
But this person is talking about a guy. He was sold to a guy. How about if you sold to a Jew? And the other Eved Anim guy. This I only know so far Eved Ivri who was sold to a guy. Since we see that there's a leniency for a Jew who was sold to a guy, that the relatives also have a right to redeem him. That pasuk says openly that when a Jew was sold to a guy, the relatives have the right to redeem him. Therefore, you see that the pasuk is trying to get him out, maybe like Maybe Yaakov said, and therefore we always allow him to get out for cheaper. Means that the guy. We see that we're hard on the guy. The guy who bought him, we allow him to get out easily. You see that even the relatives can redeem him. So therefore, also going to make it harder for the guy. We make it easy to get out of the guy. The same way that we make it easy to get out with the relatives redeeming him. So too we make it easy for him to get out with the cheaper price. But then
which would also be a detriment for a guy to buy it.
Well, I mean, I think the point is that we want to get the Jew out of the guy. The Torah wants to let
But
the
also
get the
this
Jew out
way
of it.
would be a deterrent because it's not a good deal for him.
Okay.
Then, if the price
Goes up, he
is
loses
gonna-
out either way.
You're gonna lose.
But how do you know Nimkal Yisrael? The Gemara's mashma here that by Eved Ivri sold to Jews, the relatives don't have a right to redeem him, which they bring down as a machlokis. But our Gemara seems to say that only if he has money himself. But if the relatives have money, the master doesn't have to redeem him. But that's why our Gemara is mashma that he doesn't have to let him be redeemed. But Nimkal Yisrael, how do you know if he was sold to a Jew also, if the price goes up or down, that Eved Ivri has the option of getting the cheaper price? Yeah, the Gzera Shabbat between the case of sold to a guy, sold to a Jew, both of them are the same halacha, that they get redeemed for the cheaper price.
The guy can redeem himself.
I'm sorry?
Guy slave can redeem
We're
himself.
not talking about a guy slave, we're talking about a Jew that was sold to a guy.
Oh.
Amar Abaye, Abaye said today's a good day for questions on any subject. Like Rabbi Miller used to say. But Rabbi Miller used to say, I don't know if I have the answers, but questions on any subject. But here he went to say, I have the answer to any question.
That's what it means. I'm like Ben Azai.
I'm like Ben Azai in that market area. So he was very sharp, and he would go to the market and say, anybody have questions? I'll answer any question. And Abaye said today, I'm also in that frame of mind, and any questions on any subject. So a certain Chacham asked Abaye a question. The psukim, we bought two psukim. For the purchase price, for the current price. And you said that it's the kula. Either way, he gets the cheaper price. If it's the current price, it's cheaper, the current price. If it's the purchase price, that's cheaper. Who told you which way to be dash? And maybe you always get the chumrah. These psukim, you could dash in them lenient for the benefit of the cheaper price, or you could dash at the chumrah. That either way, it gets the more expensive price. How do you know which one to do? My chaz is to dash in the kula. Dash in the chumrah. I told you to dash in them lenient, dash in them also. They always expensive price. If the purchase price is more expensive, you have to get it. If the current price is more expensive, do the current price. How do you know? No soccer diet. Rabbi said can't be. Because you see the Torah is lenient on the Ebed Ivri. He takes care of the Ebed Ivri. And this is a famous price everybody knows. The Tanya, the reason I'm going further, even though it's late, is because everybody knows this and it's enjoyable. The Tanya, Kitov Lo Imach, it says that he doesn't want to leave because it's good for him. He's having a good time. What's a good time? Imach b'machal, imach b'mishta, with you for food, with you for drink, that he drinks the same as you do. He eats the same as you do. You don't give the Ebed Ivri inferior food and drink. By the table, they're all eating the same. Shalo yeh ata ochel pas likir v'ochel pas kibar ata shosi yain yoshen v'u shosi yain chodash ata yashen al gabi mochin v'u yashen al gabi ateben. That it shouldn't be that you're eating clean bread, good quality bread. These are eating bad quality bread. You're drinking old good wine, and he's drinking fresh, not such good wine. You're sleeping on cushions, and he's sleeping on straw. So whatever you have, you have to give to him also. You have to give him the same as you have. From here, Chazal said, somebody buys an Ivri, he's like buying a master because he has obligations to him on a very high standard. He has to give him the same living conditions as he has. Yeah. So what do you see? Abaye says, you see that the Torah is taking care of the Ivri. So Mr. Bear, if you have a choice that the Torah is being machmir on his price, redemption price, or lenient on the redemption price, probably the Torah is being lenient on his redemption price.
To go two ways, go both ways to kula.
The choice is going to be either lenient both ways or chumrah both ways. No, that's not sure. But one person says you go according to the purchase price. One person says you go according to the current price. So the person says both. So it has to be either lakula or chumrah. So if that's the two choices, probably the Torah is being lenient. But the Gemara is not happy with that. Maybe it's only as far as eating and drinking and sleeping. Because we don't want to have, they should have tsar. The Torah doesn't want they should have tsar, but that doesn't mean that it's easier to get out. The Gemara is going to say there's another side. There's a downside also. You're saying to be so good to him, that's as far as he shouldn't be living the 6 years. He shouldn't be living difficult. That he's not. Everybody else is having a higher standard of living. But as far as getting him out, maybe he deserves to be a bit punished. As the Gemara is going to bring now, that how did it happen that he became an Eved Ivri? Because he did an Avera. That's also a famous brisa that's brought down in Rashi also. It goes pretty long. I don't know if people want to continue. We should stop here already. Should we stop?
Well, I thought, in other words, it's not because he sold himself.
We're talking about it's not the question.
What kind of
He said that he did a Avera to sell himself. It could be also that he stole. He could say that he stole. That was why he was sold. A Avera of stealing. But the Gemara is not going to say that. I think the Gemara is going to say. And both of them have a downside. Why did you sell yourself? Or why did you steal?
To sell yourself.
I thought that's what you said. I thought that's what you meant.
No, I'm asking
They say
why.
that about the Nurtza.
No.
That he shouldn't have sold
I'm
himself.
saying that would exclude selling yourself. What's the Avera?
Oh, so the Gemara is going to bring now a long list of things that the fact that he's so poor that he had to sell himself, that the Gemara is going not that he stole, not the Gemara is going to go the one who sold himself. Why
I thought
do
Hashem always has poor people. What's the Avera for being so poor?
yeah, so something you're right, but sometimes a person brought it upon himself because of punishment. Then this the Gemara is going to say that the order of the Torah that says all kinds of needs because of an Avera, that it started off because he was not doing Shemitah correctly, and because of that he's going to become poor and poor and poor, and he's not going to wake up. And it doesn't say steal. He's going to not to steal. I don't think so. Maybe I forgot the Gemara is going to say that he came so poor that he had to sell himself. So that's a long list that the Gemara is going to say. So you see that maybe there's a downside. on the fact that he's a Eved Ivri, and maybe the Torah should be machmir that it shouldn't be so easy to get out of it. So that's a kasha that I think more is going to take a long time. So I got it there, but maybe it's too late already. So we should stop here.
I'd be happy to do
Any
six.
votes? Somebody?
Yeah,
Very
let's
happy to
keep
see
on
it.
going.
We'll keep on going.
You want to?
We gotta
Okay.
finish slichas
Okay,
before
go,
the end
go,
of
go.
slichas.
Everyone wants to go. Go,
Okay.
go, go. Okay.
Okay. So we'll stop here. And,
But this seems problematic.